It's Zero RB Friday here on Splash Play and Stream Draft number 161 for me on the year. It's going to be a fun one today where we are going to be pot committed to not taking RBs in the first few rounds here. Of course, we had some preseason games yesterday, have a lot of training camp news to dig into. We got CMC going to the 102 here. Let's get it going, guys, and let's talk about it all. Starting with the games yesterday, because I know it's going to be top of mind for some folks, even though the news might not really matter for fantasy football this year. But Eric Gray, big game for the Giants yesterday, 2 touchdowns, 100 total yards. Played behind Tyrone Tracy, though, which is the thing that I put in the news items yesterday, mentioned on the Discord as well. Does seem like Tyrone Tracy's in that RB2 job. Maybe after a big game like Eric Gray had, maybe that puts him back in the hunt. The Athletic has been speculating that Eric Gray is competing more for the RB3 job with Dante Turbo Miller, but an okay showing yesterday. I feel like he was the weakest out of all of the 3 backs there between Tracy, between Eric Gray, between Dante Miller. But that said, Eric Gray, the big game, and I was happy to see it, honestly. Obviously, been a big fan of Eric Gray. Looking at his numbers last year, thought the Giants wanted to get him on the field last year. This year, obviously, he hasn't held up against Tracy, who definitely is a lock to make the roster and probably to return some kicks. But Eric Gray, he's got juice. All right, we're on the clock here. Pick 8, a spot I've not gotten a lot of which we'll look at my exposures. Some of that later on in the video. Let's go A.J. Brown here. I've not gotten a lot of A.J. Brown because I haven't been in the 8th spot. Could talk me into Breece Hall too, but with 2% Breece, not sure if I'm going to get there this year. So A.J. Brown, first pick off the board. And of course, it's Zero RB Friday, so Breece wasn't really a consideration. Not really anything else to note in that Giants game. I felt like Drew Lock got hurt. I don't think that matters too much to you guys. Jalen Polk was with the second team in the first preseason game for the Patriots. That matters a little bit. Polk has been called the wide receiver 1 by Gerard Mayo by the Patriots overall. He wasn't being treated like it yesterday. That said, he's a young guy. Him not being with the first team day one, it's just nothing to freak out about. But I know this makes people think a lot about it, makes you worry a lot about it. If the guy's with the first team, it's a great thing. If the guy's not with the first team, he's got his way up. It's nothing too surprising to see. Javon Baker being buried a little bit more, though. Didn't come in with that second team, came in later on. He looked okay playing against third and fourth teamers, I thought. Got open pretty well. Was not the guy who got the big benefit from Joe Milton being out there. Joe Milton, I thought, also looked fun, and I've thought he's not too dissimilar from Drake May, and it was nice to see that on the field. Let's make our pick, though. We can talk more about that. We got Olave here. Devontae, Jonathan Taylor would not be a Zero RB pick. We'll go Olave. Olave feels like a nice pick in this spot. Not going to go up and get Waddle, a guy who I think is overpriced anyway. So an A.J. Brown, Chris Olave start here for us, and we'll see what we get kicked back at 32. But yeah, for Polk, for Baker, wouldn't sweat it that much. Those guys will get their moment in the sun. It just wasn't yesterday. And frankly, the offense didn't look too good, but that's no surprises based upon what we've been hearing in terms of the practice reports. Jerry Jones says, quote unquote, there's no urgency for a CeeDee Lamb deal, but the full quote meant in terms of getting it done before week 1 as opposed to now. Obviously, they want to see if CeeDee Lamb's going to come down in price, going to reach what they're offering. Lamb apparently not going to get more than Justin Jefferson, most likely, but could get contracts the same amount with less guaranteed. That was a report in The Athletic breaking down the contract stuff today. I'm not worried about it, but it is a thing where you're making it more contentious. CeeDee Lamb retweeted the lack of urgency quote with an LOL. Dak Prescott then had a talk in camp, and the first thing he said was that he, quote unquote, has urgency to get CeeDee Lamb in camp to have him have a deal. But it would take basically for him, he felt 1 or 2 practices to catch up with CeeDee Lamb to get up to speed. So there's really nothing pressing this to happen besides the fact that CeeDee Lamb is, I believe, not a hold in. He's a pure holdout. So he's racking up fines right now. And if he wants to keep racking up fines, it seems like the Cowboys are happy to let him keep doing it. Let's see here. Do the Eagles double? I'm not reaching for the Eagles double. No, thank you. That doesn't make sense for me. And a lot of flowers for our guy Tyler here. Did a great job on the randomizer. Randomizer Hall of Famer, Tyler. Tyler randomizer royalty. There we go. Our guy Tyler did a great job on the randomizer stream yesterday if you want to see him with Pete. And I thought, I will say, my first thought seeing Tyler on there, and I happened to turn on the stream at a moment where Tyler was like, oh, shout out to the Squirt Squad and Spags, whatever. I was like, oh, this is very nice. This worked out really conveniently for me. It doesn't usually happen in content that you turn it on and somebody's saying something nice about you. But Tyler's hair, I felt like he really went the extra mile to make that hair Texas big. He was going for like Dolly Parton big on the stream yesterday. So big Tyler hair, good performance by him on the randomizer. Go check it out on Pete's channel if you want to do that. We got other news items here. Let's see. 49ers. Actually, no, hold on. Athletic says CeeDee Lamb to close out the CeeDee Lamb stuff. Athletic says CeeDee Lamb closer to an extension than Dak is for cap reasons. So we talked about the general structure there. Him getting on paper Jefferson money with less guaranteed. I think that's what's going to happen for him. We got Christian Watson back in practice, all good. So people worried about Christian Watson. He had the knee injury. Of course, I said he was walking off. That's basically rule number one for a guy, for the most part, being okay and good to go. Back in practice the next day, definitely right up there. Rule 1B, we could say, for a guy being good to go. But Watson back in practice, he's fine for now. It's precarious. The sword of Damocles hangs over Christian Watson at any time. The Jets played well in a shared practice versus Washington. Garrett Wilson catches some TDs, sans Aaron Rodgers. Not a surprise given how bad we expect the Commanders' D to be, besides whatever schematic improvements that Dan Quinn brings in. Jaden Daniels, have to point out, struggled in 7 for 15 passing. Was not a great day for him. A lot of check down stuff. That said, this is part of the growth process. It's not even a real game. And for Jaden, I did see some of the tweets replying to the local beat writers. People freaking out like, oh man, Jaden's going to be a bust. It's like, my God, guys, give process time to do what it has to do. We're on the clock, though, here. Josh Allen goes 31. I have wanted to get more DJ Moore. Correlation-wise, nothing we have to go out of our way to get here. So we'll get some DJ Moore. I'm at 10% DJ, really just because of where he's getting picked. Not been a guy to get easily for me. For Michael Pittman, I'm deliberately low on him, and we don't have a correlation there, so he's definitely not the kind of guy for me to go up and get. Obviously, still love the Indy offense. Still think AR is going to have a good year. Pittman, I don't see being a part of it at that price tag, ADP-wise. But A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore is the start. And here we go. Neither are rework contracts or both free agents. Are we talking about Dak and CD? CD is on his 50-year option now. They could tag him next year, so he's not really a free agent. Could be, but there we go. All right. Rest of the news items here. Brian Callahan. Again, this is nothing surprising, but it is a confirmation of prior things that I've been saying declaratively for a few months now. Brian Callahan says Tennessee will use Pollard and Spears in the run and pass game, but sometimes will ride the hot hand. Exactly what we expect it to be, like a 50-50, maybe 60-40 share, because Pollard has a better contract. But either way, those guys both in the mix. They should be priced relatively next to each other. The markets are doing that, so nothing that really matters too much. Deontay Foreman back practicing after his temporary paralysis scare. That just says what that is. Rondale Moore, this is a sad one. This fucking sucks, man, because I really thought he was a clever bailout late, even though I've started to take Ray McLeod lately. Rondale Moore officially out for the year as a knee injury, so wasn't a broken leg, I guess. Was more, might be both. Might be an ACL and a broken leg. Air cast on him. He's out for the year. Don't take him. Take Ray McLeod if you want that wide receiver 3. And if you want to dig deeper, Casey Washington. But I would go Ray McLeod. He's always been a guy that's been interesting. Don't expect a lot of upside there, but maybe you get, I don't know, 5 touches in a game for 40 and a touchdown, I guess. For a round 18 guy as a bring back, he's in play for Ray McLeod. Mac Hollins expected to be a top 4 receiver in Buffalo. His ability to move around the formation. Another news item there. Mac Hollins should be your bailout bill, it looks like. We'll get one more pick in here. Mahomes at 40. Yikes. I know you want the Kelsey Mahomes, but and that with Lamar at 37. All right. Interesting room. We've got Laporta here. It'd feel pretty good. Pittman, slight bump with Downs going down. I wouldn't think so. I mean, he's going to be back for week 1 or week 2. I wouldn't personally want to move that too much. Laporta feels okay here. Pittman wouldn't be bad, but I'm going to go Laporta. Week 16 correlation with DJ Moore, let's say, is the tiebreaker. I like Laporta a lot. I think he's coming down a little bit cheaper here. He goes as tight end 4 in this room. I'm pretty happy to get Sam Laporta at pick 41. And last news item, Miles Sanders and Dalvin Cook, according to ESPN, and this is an exact quote, the external list of RBs Dallas is watching. So think if we see weak preseason / in-camp performances from Zeke, from Dowdle, I guess from Malik Davis, Royce Freeman's been banged up and not playing. So there's a risk they could add somebody else. If Miles Sanders were to get cut, he'd be one that people have speculated for a little bit. Sanders would upset that backfield. He doesn't have a ton of juice, but he's the kind of guy that if you do force feed touches to, I think you'll have passable enough days in a Dallas offense. So something to watch out for there. Maybe reason to not be somebody taking one of Zeke, one of Rico Dowdle in every lineup. I've been trying to get a little more Dowdle in, but there's cause for concern a little bit there. The fact they're keeping eyes on dusty guys, but dusty guys who they can force feed volume to and make it tougher for us. There we go. That's everything news-wise. If you appreciate the news segment here, me trying to give you info here every day, subscribe down below, hit the like button. Of course, your engagements go a long way for me as a solo proprietor here, showing my work on stream every day. Just basically here, I talk about a lot. Like this is a show, obviously. It's about me gambling. It's about my process here of deciphering news, gambling, putting it all together every day. And that's what I give you here. So that's what the show is now. And I feel like people sometimes don't grasp it. I'm not trying to do the traditional, like, two guys in a box, volleying takes back and probably agreeing too much show. I don't want to but guess. B, I just want to gamble and talk about football and what I'm seeing. So that's what the channel is. If you appreciate that, hit the like button and subscribe. It goes a long way. And of course, use promo code SPLASH on Underdog. Double your deposit, not double your deposit, get a deposit match for $250. So check that out. Bonus cash. I think it's the exact phrasing. Oof, got to be careful with the verbiage. Them changing that one around. Though I noticed Pat Crane, Legendary Upside, has not updated for Underdog's thing. He's super much of a big deal where, like, for everybody else, they're like, you better fucking update that shit immediately. And for Pat and Legendary Upside, they're like, keep the old deal up there, confuse the customers. Doesn't matter. What a world where you don't have to worry about marketing copy. And I'm not saying that with any shade at all. I was like, wow, must be nice. Two guys in a box, no. Two girls in a cup, yes. I don't know if in a Cooper cup, you want them inside of him? Seems tough. Two guys, one box, certainly a genre that I'm sure Tyler is familiar as well. Dalton Kincaid goes at 53. CJ Stroud at 51, unstacked. Love to see that. Again, badges mean nothing at this point in the game. Tyreek, Keenan Allen, two receivers, and you go CJ Stroud at 51, when in many rooms he goes stacked 30 picks later. Great pick. Pickens falls again. This is now the second time here, including yesterday where I scooped him up. Pickens fall into the mid-50s. Got a week 16 correlation with Chris Olave for Jaden Reed. I do want to get more Jaden Reed. No issue with Hollywood Brown. AR would have been okay more so if we took Pittman. I'll go Hollywood. I feel like there's going to be a buying time for Jaden Reed. To me, Jaden Reed's ADP, I mean, it's coming down. He's at 60. Feels like there might be a mid-60s buying point for Jaden Reed, whereas Hollywood Brown, to me, is locked into whatever he's going to be at. Getting the most targets, or top 3 targets for the Chiefs in camp so far. It's him, Rashee Rice, Kelsey getting a lion's share of targets. Obviously, about half of that going to Worthy so far is based on some of the counts out there. So Jaden Reed's going to go the opposite way. I'm going to let Jaden Reed fall, and we'll go Hollywood Brown at the ever so slight 0.8 discount of ADP. So the team so far, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, 2 Browns here, and Sam Laporta, a tight end. So pure 0 RB build so far. We'll see what we get coming up. You do a great job, Spags. Thank you, C40. Look, I think so too. But I get people want different stuff. Like, they want to hear other opinions sometimes. And, that's just not, to me, that's not what I want the show to be. Like, I want the show to be, you're coming here for my bullshit. And then if there are more people layered on top of that, great. That's sort of the baseline we're hoping for here. Come here to watch me gamble as intelligently as I possibly can. And hopefully entertainingly. But mostly intelligently. I think you should just take Kyler. If you're using some of the tools out there, they would give your QB a huge boost. There's 0% chance you're getting Kyler back at 82. All right. I might take Kyler so fucking TM Longacre learns a lesson here. Should have taken Kyler. But honestly, I would think it's more likely that somebody takes Kyler before I see Kyler come back again at pick 80, if I had to guess. Given that CJ Stroud would unstack at 51, do you think Kyler will not be likely to come back to TM Longacre? Soak up the whole clock, Doge. That's what we want to see. Christian Watson, there he goes. Kyle Pitts is on the board. Chris Godwin, Xavier Worthy, Deontay Johnson could do the KC stack. Sans the QB, which I am okay with. Doesn't feel like the time to break our RB fast. Pitt's a little bit of a discount. Godwin's the biggest discount here, and I do need to get more of them. I'll get Godwin. Just not excited about Godwin at all. Guess this makes us maybe more live to take a Dallas correlation later on. That would give me some week 16 correlation for Godwin, week 17 for A.J. Brown. But we'll see. It's a 0-0-5-1 so far here on 0 RB Friday. We've got A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, and Chris Godwin as the wide receiver room. A weird wide receiver room by my standards, which, 93 drafts in BBM right now. I'll take it. And at tight end, we have Sam Laporta. So we're okay. Let's go, Spags. Best BBM content in the game. Let's get more followers. Thank you, Kendrick. Kendrick, one of my biggest hype men, and I appreciate him for it. Yes, hit that like button, subscribe. It does go a long way. And again, use that promo code SPLASH on Underdog if you haven't yet. And if you have deposited Underdog before, use promo code SPLASH on Drafters. Tomorrow we got two more, I guess, a doubleheader tomorrow and a doubleheader Sunday. The 7 days a week of Splash Play marches on here. So if you want to draft on Drafters this weekend, I don't care if you try to get in the room. Go to drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH. Get a $100 deposit match. Of course, 10 free entries as well. If you, or rather, one free entry if you put in 10 on drafters.com. The Drafters Million, $15, 500K to first place. Total points there, so no pods at all. The pod luck is a big part that I know people hate, and you're going to see people hate if you're new to best ball. Strap in, because by the time week 14, week 15, week 16 roll around, you hear people bitching about their pods nonstop. Kyler Murray goes at 71 or 74 as we predicted, unstacked. So there we go. Go play on Drafters, etc. And Best Ball Overlay. I saw the pound in chat, bestballoverlay.com. You want the data that I use on screen, your exposures, great way to balance things out. Week 16, week 17 matchups, and also the totals for those matchups too if you hover over it. You can get that for yourself at bestballoverlay.com. Promo code SPLASH gets you $10 off. It basically means you can get all this data for a month here, the home stretch of Best Ball, for just $20. So check it out, bestballoverlay.com. All right. Picks coming up here. Might be time to go RB. And it might not be. We'll see. Built a lot of Extreme Zero RB teams lately on stream, so I'm not necessarily desiring to go Extreme Zero RB yet again. But we will figure it out. L7 means where their ADP has moved in the last 7 days on Best Ball Overlay. It's data tools. Same time, 10:30, 11, unfortunately. If you want to try to schedule around me, you can. But that's the only window I have to do it with the kid. Because the wife and kid get back by like 1:15. So I got to get it done by 1. We got JMO here, who does correlate for week 16 with Chicago. ADP-wise, the pick would be James Conner, who I like very much. I think he is a good end to a 0 RB run. And I think that's what we're going to do here. James Conner. 0.6 picks after ADP. What a value. But we got James Conner here, which feels good when you're running the 0 RB run. You follow your heart. I don't need to get in the way of you. But, you know, if whatever you want to do, I'll obviously plug more. All right, we got A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin is the 0 RB start. We then add the RB on top, James Conner, who does play Carolina in week 16. So maybe we could set up some Dallas, Carolina. We're going to have some layered correlation on here one way or another. And Sam Laporta as the tight end. So we don't increase our Detroit bet, which is fine. More flexibility for receivers later on. That's how it goes. Interesting question. Does Pitts get a bump in your ranks with Morgan or just more Ray? I don't think Pitts should get a bump up. Never really expected Rondale to be a huge target earner. Do you think he would earn, if I were doing projections, I would have Rondale earning targets more than Ray McLeod, but it's mostly to me like here, instead of the 18th round guy you take as a bring back to Washington, instead of taking Rondale, it's now Ray, I think is how you'd view it. So still Mooney is the wide receiver 2 there for real. That guy's ahead. But that's mostly, it doesn't change anything for me. It would on a minor projection level, but it shouldn't, I think, change the ranks too much. As I learned during the Pete days where you're simulcasting, it really hurts both channels. So I don't think a simulcast is the best move, unfortunately. But he's also, I think, doing BBM and I'm doing Drafters. I got to do my Drafters sponsored streams here. We got to hit our nut on the Drafters million. That's the goal. Ramondre comes all the way back here. Don't mind him. I guess people maybe spooked a little bit by that awful offense yesterday they saw. Jonathan Brooks would correlate for week 16 and week 17, though. This is a tough call. It's a 10-pick ADP flip, which in those cases, I don't think you're really supposed to flip it that much. So we'll go Ramondre here. Zamir White would also make sense, but I do like Ramondre the most out of these RBs, I believe. Yeah, I do. So Ramondre, RB2 here. We have a James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson start, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, and Chris Godwin, and the tight end, Sam Laporta. That is the room we have so far. Feeling okay about it? Somebody in the comments yesterday bitched at me for being a quote-unquote asshole 0 RB guy, which according to the best ball overlay tool, I don't think I've drafted one 0 RB team truly all year. But when like, I don't know why people get so mad about 0 RB. Like, I don't get, especially knowing that that's the whole thing that, like, I've carried the torch from, where even the ship chasing guys who originated it, started all the piss boy memeing about streaming yellow, all that stuff. Those guys don't even take wide receivers anymore. They take RBs. I still carry the torch, but even then it's like, you have to adjust for modern ADPs. I think hero RB makes a lot of sense. 0 RB still makes sense too as well, though. Like, I don't know why people get worked up about 0 RB. It's a tough scene out there. People get worked about everything in August. Just can't help themselves. How much can Bijan really get pumped? See him going 101 though. I mean, I think he's been appropriately priced this entire time. He shouldn't come up anymore. We know enough about it. We know there's also some downside risk. They've talked about wanting to have Algier be involved. They've said Algier will quote unquote lead the backfield at times. Like, I think you couldn't put Bijan any higher. I don't think. Okay, Jason here, shout him out here live finally. Wow. Truly a moment to be wowed by. And the good news is I'm here live every day now at 11 a.m., at least for one more week. So please subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll be here. Hit the notification bell even. Now you'll know when I'm coming in the room. Jonathan Brooks goes at 98. Would have been sick if he fell all the way back, but don't think that was the most likely. Whoa. All right, I know you guys saw that light flash. That was a big light flash. Hopefully we don't lose power. And shout out to all you guys too who are in other parts of the country. I know the hurricane is doing some not ideal stuff in, like, I think Virginia and Florida, like that entire region, from Virginia down. So hopefully you guys are doing okay out there. I assume you are. Here we're just getting endless rain. All right. Pick coming up here. Would love it if these guys were timely. Gave me some flexibility. Am I getting... Well, let's see what 103 does here. I swear, man. I'm getting baited into taking Jaden now. Like, I would like to get my Jaden exposure down. He shouldn't be priced after 100. I will die on that hill repeatedly. If we take Jaden here, we get more week 16 correlation with AJ Brown. We also get an elite QB who I think is priced about 10 spots incorrectly here. Brock Bowers, a big faller, would correlate for us in week 17 as well. All right, you know what? Let's see what this room thinks of Jaden. I think our guy TM Longacre will probably take Jaden, perhaps. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens. We'll leave Jaden up for grabs. We'll take Brock Bowers instead. I do think this is a lot of tight end capital, taking Bowers on with an elite tight end. I know people like that a lot. I'm obviously okay with it in this build because we have Chris Olave. We want to get a bring back here. But that said, that's a lot of capital at tight end. Taking a guy that highly. But we don't get Jaden back. Jaden goes 105. No surprises there. But when you have as much Jaden as I have, I think you have to start to be a little bit choosier about where you're taking Jaden. Jaden's underpriced. What do you think about Caleb? He's appropriately priced. Jaden's underpriced because he's going to run like a demon. That's the part that matters a lot. There have not been guys that run as much as you would project Jaden to run who've had a bad fantasy season. In fact, more likely than not, if you run as often as Jaden would be projected to run, you're going to finish top 10, if not top 5. So that's where Jaden Daniels, I would say, is underpriced. Caleb is underpriced a little bit because of the fact his guys are all so high in ADP. For him to feed 3 top 70 receivers, he would need to probably be around more late 90s, but he doesn't run as much. He's a good runner. He'll run 4 to 5 times a game and actually get some touchdowns with it. But he's not, the running is the thing, not like the pure talent. But Caleb is a perfectly fine pick. I have no issue with Caleb. Just wouldn't take him, wouldn't take him unstacked. And I wouldn't take him expecting him to single-handedly win me week 17, whereas I do think Jaden is live to do that potentially. All the talk here. Got TM Longacre to take old Caleb. Stacks him up with Odunze. Sure. All right, 0252 here. I see one player I wouldn't mind coming back, and he does. I see, 2 players that could make sense. We could take Shaheed and keep being alive for Derek Carr late, like a real Derek Carr stack, as opposed to the bullshit ones I do with Juwan Johnson all the time. Javonte Williams here as well would give us a pretty solid RB3 in this kind of room. This is a tough call. Cooks also honestly looks pretty good. But I'm going to go Javonte. I'll go Javonte. I think it would still do Carr with Chris Olave and feel okay about it. Shaheed I like, but we needed RB more here. That's a little aggressive. Caleb could reasonably be immediately after Stroud in order. I don't think he should be going in the 70s, no. I mean, Stroud went 51 here. The order should be, the real order should be, if we were to go from the top down, it would be that AR and Lamar, or AR and CJ Stroud go closer to the early 50s here. So they're behind the Hurts, Lamar, Josh Allen tier safely. Mahomes, I think, should be in that tier. I know the public will disagree with me. If you want to disagree with me, then it should be him splitting the difference between those guys. Then it should probably be like mobility guys. I think it should be Kyler coming up in the 70s. I think Jaden should be there. Dak with his pass game production, I think, should be like third of that tier. And then I would have a break and have like Burrow, Love, Caleb would be the back half of that. Purdy would be in there. But Caleb should not be like in the 70s. That's too much. Javonte, my favorite Denver RB. No. Is this a bit? No, it's still Audric Estime. It is always going to be Audric Estime. But because I have so much Estime, I do want to make sure I'm with the field on Javonte in case that side of the bet hits. So it's mostly a bet on the running game having production there. And I believe a lot in the talent of Audric Estime. But Javonte Williams is getting good camp signal, is in good shape. We know that he, frankly, had no juice last year. Him being a little bit leaner gives him a shot to have some juice again. He was an avoided tackle rate guy of decent note before he went down with a big leg injury and missed a year. So I don't want to be blind to Javonte. And I think now is the time we have enough signal to actually, go ahead with it a little bit. Trevor Lawrence guy. All right, this guy's stacking up in the one hole. Always nice to see somebody actually stacking when they take Trevor Lawrence and Dak. And that guy's doing it. Good job by him. All right. They have nearly identical weapon groups in both top two picks. Why couldn't they be the same guy? Because there's a year difference between them. CJ Stroud has played for a year, and Caleb Williams is going to have to come in and learn a lot. So you have to downgrade a little bit for the rookie stuff and the uncertainty. We haven't seen Caleb produce. And also, for what it's worth in college, Caleb last year kind of lost some efficiency overall. He still was good. He still is better than Drake May. I mean, I don't know if people don't want to hear that. I think it was worse than Jaden Daniels in terms of the efficiency metrics. Still was better than Michael Penix. Like, he was still good, but he wasn't as good as his junior year, or I guess his sophomore year. Maybe redshirt junior, whatever it was. The year before last when he won the Heisman, he was really good. This past year, he came back down to earth a little bit. So for Caleb, that's basically it. Like, he hasn't played in the pros. You don't take a guy that hasn't played in the pros over a guy that, has played in the pros and also was better in college in terms of the metrics. All right, we're on the clock here. Brandon Cooks came all the way back, and I actually would have been happy to take him with that last pick. So we're going to go Brandon Cooks for wide receiver 6. Zeke would be a fine pick as well here, given the Philadelphia bet we have and our need for RB. But I like Cooks a lot in this build as a bring back. And now we are at 6 receivers, so going to stay away from it for a little bit. Yeah, Cooks all the way back. I was ready to take him with that last pick. He was a consideration alongside Rashid Shaheed, so happy to do that. Though you like the efficiency, why don't you like McLaughlin? Because it's efficiency plus the opportunity to get a good amount of work. McLaughlin lost work down the stretch last year after playing perfectly fine. Like, people really missed the usage pattern of McLaughlin and thought, like, I don't know, they think he's going on the way up. In reality, they used him a lot early, then they liked him less as the year went on. He's had a good camp. He's draftable, but he's not remotely the same player as Javonte Williams or Audric Estime. Those guys are lead backs. McLaughlin is like a Darren Sproles-y back with a little bit more size. Not the same players at all. All the Javonte juice. Well, he doesn't have an apostrophe either. Maybe it's a different Javonte you want the juice of. But Javonte is a fine enough play. He and Estime, I wouldn't take them together. At their current ADPs, they are both reasonable bets. Estime was a better bet in the 18th round, but that ship has sailed. And also, for what it's worth, with McLaughlin, he wasn't like an efficiency beast. He was just like, okay. People really have a hard on for McLaughlin. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where you build the callus over time or really watch these guys closely. McLaughlin's just like too small. He's too small to ever get the workload you want him to have. People think he could be a lead back. It's like, you can't be a lead back. His best shot is to be like a Jalen Warren back, but Jalen Warren's bigger than him too and has more shiftiness. Ty Chandler going at 135. A little bit lofty. Zeke comes all the way back. So does Jerome Ford. Both plays perfectly, I'll say, cromulent in this build. I mean, I think this is a Zeke spot. I'm not out on Zeke. I do agree Zeke should come down in price tag, but shouldn't be a 10-pick drop. They trust him. I mean, he's not good anymore. Like, they trust him enough. Still the same bet. I think the 12 spots auto drafting. I've not been paying enough attention, but he's certainly doing something there. Hitting RB hard and aggressive for sure. Zeke's going to be Adam Thielen from last year. Honestly, I'd take it if he were like a top 5 receiver again, or top 5 RB against all odds for, how long did Thielen last year? 6 weeks? I would take it. But I think Zeke, just what he does is to me, he's a less used Detroit Jamal Williams in that offense. Like, I think one of the biggest lessons to me in best ball was really the Jamal Williams year a couple of years ago, where it's like he got so much work and it wasn't about Jamal Williams. It was just about the team and what they wanted to do and how well that offense is going to get the ball downfield. And like, those guys have value. Like, I think in best ball, it's hard to project them, but the Zekes, the Jamal Williams in Detroit, I guess theoretically it didn't work out last year, but like the Damian Harris role that ended up going to Latavius Murray in Buffalo, ended up having a little bit of juice there. Power back roles on teams that are going to get the ball downfield and have a hard time scoring in the red zone. I'm willing to take. Not the Cowboys are going to have a hard time scoring necessarily, but they'll give runs. They gave fucking 5 runs a game inside the 20s to Tony Pollard last year. I think Zeke can get himself 2. I don't think it was always Dowdle. I don't think it's Dowdle now. I think it's still both of them in equal parts. Like, if I had 16% of Zeke and 16% of Dowdle, great. I think that would be a perfect split. I think the spot's going to hit. You just run the risk of them bringing somebody else in who upsets the backfield, which could happen. Camp cuts. I guess if Miles Sanders gets cut, they could still go to Dalvin Cook's way, though I would think if you wanted to do that, you might have done it already. Yards per carry is not an efficiency metric. It's a counting stat. Oh. Sorry. I'll try to be nice about it, but it's just a counting stat. It's not efficiency. That's not what efficiency means. Especially when the QB doesn't run it in like Allen. That's true. But even still, if the QB runs it in, it doesn't mean a power back roll is invalid. Like, I still think the upside's there for Buffalo. You know, when you have a QB can run it in, a lot of that's going to be on a read pass option. Like, so you're going to be able to have it where he can hand the ball off. I'm not learning. I have enough Dowdle. This isn't a hot take. Thoughts on a Giants stack this year? Great. If you're taking neighbors, you're already making a bet on Daniel Jones. Giants going late, have late bailouts. You can take Daniel Jones with Jalen Hyatt. You can take Daniel Jones with Theo Johnson. Giant stacks have a lot of utility. Teams who aren't Cleveland don't seem to like Kareem Hunt at all. Damn right you are. I've got like 10% Dowdle. I'm not low on Dowdle here. All right, big QB pocket here. Unfortunately, none of the QBs that make sense for us. Marshawn Lloyd here. Marshawn Lloyd falling into the 150s. He's too good of a pick. I don't care. If like the market is not going to correct on guys like Marshawn and guys like Jaden Daniels, I'm just going to have 40% of them this year. I don't see any way around it. I don't want to be like, you live long enough and you see yourself become our pal Felix Castro, drafts Najee Harris and everyone, or I guess the hit him with the gritty guy who drafts way too much of really bad players. But like, to me, Marshawn Lloyd shouldn't be priced in the 150s. He shouldn't be going behind Jaleel McLaughlin and his counting stats. He shouldn't be going behind Chuba Hubbard, who's not going to play for that much down the home stretch. Unbelievable. No. It's about what you can do on the field. Same thing with Troy Franklin with the drop stuff. It's like people look at, oh, wow, he dropped one pass or dropped 3 passes over the course of 2 weeks of camp. And it's like, no, look at the fact that he got open for 50-yard bombs. Look at the fact that Marshawn Lloyd has broken 50-yard runs and 50-yard passes in camp, which is something nobody in that backfield can do. No, I am not worried about fumbles. And it's also more drops than fumbles. No, no, these are not. You look for the good things a little bit more. Oh boy, Adam's cold streak continues. Gritty has some good player takes. I haven't seen him. I don't know. I haven't looked closely enough. I could be wrong about it. Seems like a nice enough guy, but the Claypool take, I don't know. Of all the things to dig your heels in, that wouldn't be one for me personally. I did the randomizer last year. Did it last year with Pete. And I think once is enough for most people. Not in any disparaging way. It's just like, you exert a lot of the bits. 0562 here. At some point, we need to think about a QB. And I think we are now at that point for one of these picks. I think Baker Mayfield should come on down here. Baker Mayfield sometimes goes substantially later. It's just not worth pushing around at this point. Yeah, I like Bucky. Yeah, I like Antonio Gibson enough. But we have 5 RBs. I think we're okay overall to just make sure we get a QB and don't end up dealing with the rat race at the back half of the draft. Yeah, Claypool and Justin Jefferson, just 2 peers, doing great. Wandale Tracy Daniels? You mean Daniel Jones late round stack? Again, I'm not the biggest Tracy guy in the world. I think we saw yesterday why I believe Eric Gray is a better player, and I think I'm still right about that. But, Tyrone Tracy's in the mix. I just don't think either of them are really in the mix to take work from Singletary. And if Gray is good enough, it's going to squeeze Tracy a little bit down. But obviously, it's one game for Eric Gray. But I'm not. I feel no pangs of regret about not having Tyrone Tracy right now is what I would say about that part. I'd rather take a shot at Hyatt 10 times over. I would say Randomizer's meh, given that it's like one of the most important shows in this space. But Spags Stacks was okay. It's just, I'm not. The whole thing for the show with me this year is like, and I should position it better, I guess, to you guys in terms of explaining what I hope to achieve, was just to show me gambling and show me in my process and how my takes evolve and how my thoughts evolve and how I put it all together with data and like the news items, the stuff that we obsess about in January and February and March when nobody's doing content. That was my goal of the streams this year. And then to have it make me gamble better. So like Spag Stacks inherently made me gamble less good. So I don't want to do anything that's going to make me gamble less good. I just want to gamble. I want to gamble and look pretty. Big board Eric Gray bags are busting out the seams right now. Again, it's still unlikely he's going to do much, but he looked great. In terms of just making a bet on somebody who looked good in the game, doesn't feel bad for sure. Misspelled Hyatt Gray in dimes. Okay. It's Hyatt Theo Johnson in dimes. If you're going to do it that way, that's the giant stack. That's the nut one you want to get late. Hyatt's working with the first team. Seems like they've iced Slayton to some extent. The young guys have. That's what you want to see. Hyatt is all gas. He is all gas. If there was any actual competition at RB and NY, Singletary would have played, but he was inactive exactly like you expect for an entrenched starter. I mean, yeah, that's how most teams handle it. Yeah, Singletary they paid money to. They had prior experience with, as we saw in Hard Knocks this past year. Wow, Daniel Jones at 172 by a red badge. Better have fucking Neighbors, right? He has Neighbors. He reached really early for Neighbors too. All right. Again, you make a bet on Neighbors. You got to make a bet on Daniel Jones. I'd prefer to make that bet at 189, but I guess he got a little panic there. That's actually, you know what, Adam? You're back in the right side. Hyatt is JMO with bad PR. I don't know if he's quite JMO, but he had huge upside in the video game offense of Tennessee. So I don't hate him. All right, we have a 1562 here. We never got the opposite side of Seattle for that stack, so that's a little bit tough. Could just be Derek Carr time and not worry about it. I think that's where my brain is at. Derek Carr time, and let's stop worrying about it. So second game stack completed. I think Derek Carr should be in this range of guys. Like, again, Geno, I have no issue with. Obviously, we just don't have Seattle correlation. Will Levis, I take a lot of. Derek Carr, I take a lot of as well. Late QBs are just the manna from heaven you're looking for. We have Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, 2 starters here that we have stacked up. We have James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, and Marshawn Lloyd. I think we're live to take one more back, but I could live without doing it. We have A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, and Brandon Cooks. And at tight end, we have been done for a while here with Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers. I think the spot that I suffered from going Bowers was QB. I think by not taking a QB here, that's where my room suffered the most. And I do think every time you take a lead tight end with Bowers, your room is going to suffer just a little bit at whatever position it happens to work out for. And I think that's it. I would say, like, to me, it's still not a great move to take 2 tight ends in the top 100-ish. It's a little bit much. A little bit much. Well, I'm taking his signal as a sign to take my guy. Yeah. But yeah, look, I get it. I get it, Adam. You love pointing out logical fallacies while bearing your own portfolio and exposures. I understand it, but it's okay. And frankly, what did Derek Carr do last year, guys? In case we fucking men in black this one, apparently. Did he not fucking carry teams through week 15 through 17 last year? Did we miss the part that he created the tight end that made the BBM winning lineup last year? And he fucking figured it out once they stopped giving Taysom Hill as many snaps at QB? It's not the same situation for Derek Carr and Daniel Jones, for the record, either. But yes, I took Derek Carr because everybody's steaming up all these late QBs. That's the logic there. You guys are killing me here. I know maybe I didn't explain myself well enough. Oh, God. Anomalies, you're killing me today. Historical anomalies, doing well. Anomalies explained. Driving me nuts. No, Spencer Rattler's ass. He's ass. He'll play if Carr goes down, but he's ass. He and Hainer both are just career backup type guys. 2562 is the build right now. Kate Otten just hanging out. How deep do we go today? Honestly, this could be the kind of day you just take Kendre Miller. Everybody loves Kendre Miller, I'm sure, in chat. And we're going to take a share of him here at pick 185. Still high enough in the depth chart, despite the fact he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks now. We'll take him as RB6. Team so far, 662. Thinking it's 2 receivers to close us out of this one. We're going to get Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr. Third QB potentially in play, but not really. James Conner, Ramondre, Javonte Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, Marshawn Lloyd, and Kendre Miller. So just buying the dip on some guys here that are no longer the best in terms of where people view them. A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, and Brandon Cooks are the wide receiver room. And at tight end, Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers. The room I feel the best about is certainly our tight end room. Kubiak offense, I don't know, is going to be sun running. Maybe. I think it's going to be better. They're going to take shots. They're going to use power runs to set up shots. I think they're going to do that well. Did I vomit my mouth a little bit when you said today is a Kendre Miller day? I'm not happy about it. But if you're going to take him, look, we got to dollar cost him down. I was under the field on him by a little bit at his previous ADP. I could dollar cost him down to the 180s. I'm okay with that. Labe would have been fun too. Labe actually might have been more fun for this build. That's a good call. Probably panicked a little bit. Gardner Minshew going at 101. Yeah, taking Derek Carr at 176 was nuts in a room where Gardner Minshew's going 191. Will Levis at 190. Huge steal for that guy. Absolutely didn't need him when you took C.J. Stroud at 51 unstacked and Brock Purdy also unstacked at 99. Oh, man. Real combo of moronic teams and people soaking up value. That's what this room has been. Got 2 picks left, though. See what we do these last 2. I'm not feeling bad about anything yet. I think we have, honestly, mostly flexibility here. Don't think this is a 7 RB team. Don't think this is a 7 RB team. Justice Hill going at 193 is interesting to see. He's a valid pick. I wish I didn't let the market spook me off of Justice Hill. Might be a first 8 weeks pick only because of the fact that Keaton Mitchell's going to come back in at some point. But he's a valid pick. I stole Stroud from your Houston double stack. I didn't know you were in the room, C40, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Stole him at a spot where it would not have been logical for you to even take him. It's a tough scene. Ben Sinnott going to 194. One of my biggest fears of the year right now is Ben Sinnott not playing for a while and Zach Ertz going off and me just having to wait and fucking wait for Zach Ertz to get injured. But I still think Ben Sinnott, the play was correct. The player, the draft capital, all of it combined, I still feel really good about. But man, it is one of my biggest anxiety points right now. I did in fact talk about them in the intro. Yeah. I don't think it's the most likely, but if these guys don't play well in camp, then that can happen. But it seems like Rico's playing well enough in camp and Zeke is playing not completely dead in camp. So I don't expect it to happen. We got picks coming up here. Honestly, I could live with this being a 2 QB room. Some of you might feel differently. Take Taysom Hill. That might be fun. Braylon Allen here for free. It's kind of interesting. Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey does correlate for week 16 with Philadelphia. How many Carolina players? Mingo did not show out in camp yesterday, but he would be a logical one to take with one of these picks. I'll take McCaffrey. I've certainly got too much Luke McCaffrey here. Dortch over him? You can talk me into a world where I start taking Dortch over him, but we're not in that world yet. We got one more pick left. We'll see what we do with this last one here on Zero RB Friday. Of course, if you enjoyed the stream, please hit that like button. Did I say please? Please hit the like button, leave a comment. All of your engagements here go a long way for me as a solo proprietor, trying to make it work in this crazy world, just showing you my gambling, talking about how I view things. And hey, if you want to fade every take I possibly give you, I guess knock yourself out. And we have exposures coming up in a little bit as well. Going to look at all my exposures in BBM now with 93 drafts. We'll play with the Best Ball Explorer tool as well. Should be fun. Watch Jones pour salt in the wound and not pay CD, but trade for and pick up Sanders' contract. He's going to pay CD, to be clear. There's very little chance he won't pay CD Lamb at some point. It just might not be for another 4 weeks. But people are going to freak it out. Love that ownership of McCaffrey. I would like it more if it all came in the 17th round. I was taking him in like the 160s, 170s. Think he's a good play, though. Bet is just, again, the bet for me on the year is just that Jaden Daniels creates generational wealth for both himself and the players around him. And obviously McCaffrey is one of those players. Braylon Allen finally goes at pick 203. Fade Jaden Daniels at your own risk. That is the thesis of 2024. I did see that Pete did the Fantasy Life newsletter there, pal Pete Overzet. Of course, I have to say his full name here because, people might not know, I guess. But he in the Fantasy Life newsletter, he had Jaden. He had all my guys as like his favorite picks of the year, which I didn't know we were as 1-to-1 because given we have not been 1-to-1 in previous years. But he had Trey McBride, who's one of my highest exposed tight ends, Jaden Daniels, Chase Brown, one of my highest exposed RBs, and then his Malik Neighbors, who I have a good amount of. I take wherever. But he's certainly not a priority. But 3 out of 4, I was like shocked we were in that much lockstep. Because historically, that has not been the case. Why are lights flashing again? Good God. All right. It's a 2672 here. One more pick. QB at this point just doesn't make sense to even try. Receiver. Vegas. Carolina. I think I'm going to make another Mingo bet. I really wish Mingo had showed out anywhere close to how he had played in camp, but he didn't yesterday. We'll take a shot at Mingo. The entire offense is dog shit. I also posted it in the Splash Play Squirt Squad VIP Discord, but like the winning DFS lineup yesterday was an absolute dog shit lineup. Let's give the team a read here. We have a 2682. We have Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, James Conner, Ramondre, Javonte, Ezekiel Elliott, Marshawn Lloyd, Kendre Miller are the RBs. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Luke McCaffrey, and Jonathan Mingo. And at tight end, Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers. So A weird 0 RB team. This is not like my usual, but we're trying to not draft the usual, being 90-something drafts in. And guys, hey, I'm already in a draft room here. Oh, fuck, I clicked the wrong button. But I am already in a draft room where weird shit's going on. So no regulars in this one. I'm not tipping you off. I guess Raise It figured it out. But we have Christian McCaffrey, Bijan going first, and let's see what we get back. And of course, Raise It gets to scoop the fantastic value of CeeDee Lamb at pick 4. What a treat. Fucking Raise It. Thanks for the draft Spags. 2% commission on anything if it wins. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. You didn't snipe me today, though, I guess. You got to scoop some values for me. There we go. Raise It went backwards here. You happen to get in the draft. Well, good. Good. You got fucking CeeDee Lamb at 104. Thanks for that, buddy. Oh, no. It had to come in when I'm getting CeeDee Lamb at 104. Man, oh, man. I entered the room early. To be clear, I will continue to protect my EV on stream. I can't make that more clear. I think people don't like, especially the new people coming back in who haven't followed this entire process the entire year. After having somebody be in 33% of my drafts last year, I have no desire to have community draft here. Like, I'm just trying to draft against idiots. I'm trying to draft against Bijan at the 102. I don't want to draft against you guys who pay attention and want to get better at this. Get out of town. I didn't get you on Connor. I took him at ADP. What do you don't have the right of first refusal of James Conner. Puka goes at 111 here. I can't get Puka and MHJ a second time, apparently. God forbid. I do a lot of Marvin Harrison, Drake London. Might be a Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave day. Just double Chris Olave. I think that's it. Still firmly team Harrison. I have been passing on Drake a lot, though, because I am a Kendrick guy. I'll take Drake London, too. I know I've got this combo before, but let's get it even better this time. Harrison, Drake London start here. 0 RB Friday continues on once again. If you're hanging on for a second draft, I hope you enjoy the stream. Hope you're getting something out of it. But if you are, please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Do my best to give value back. You're watching me gamble primarily, but I'm telling you everything that's making me gamble the way that I do, make the football takes that I do. And that's the promise here on Splash Play always. So if you hit that subscribe button down below, you'll be treated to 7 days a week of drafts right now, including on the weekend. We're going to be doing 4 drafts on Drafters, a doubleheader tomorrow and a doubleheader on Sunday. So Drafters coming up. Of course, Underdog Monday to Friday here. Not sure if I'm going to be maxing out everything on stream this year, but I will be here doing BBM drafts every day. So please check it out. Go. Promo codes. Promo code 1, promo code 2. They're both Splash. Go to any site you enjoy and just put in promo code Splash. See what happens. Harrison Cup. Oh, man. Puka round 2 window close the F up. I mean, it was fucking happening yesterday. I saw somebody get Puka at like pick 18 on Twitter. So it's just different rooms. Unfortunately, this room does not get it. And again, bunch of red badges and other badges in the middle here. You're just not going to get the same values sometimes, unfortunately. People who don't panic about a guy being injured in August. So what you're mostly going to get with badge drafters. Though, as we talked about at this point, not every badge means they're a good drafter. That is sometimes how it goes. And a long wait between picks, guys. So I'm going to take a swig of water. 12 hole. My cherished 12 hole. I'm in it once again. So delighted. Today, though, we are going to look at my exposures at the end of this draft. And we're going to use the Best Ball Explorer tool in addition to the Best Ball Overlay tool. So if you want some data, Best Ball Overlay tool keeps adding some more data at bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. With the Best Ball Explorer tool, which I'll link in the chat as well. This tool is free. So again, not sure what they're getting out of it necessarily. Think it's somebody who's just collecting data perhaps to help out their own best ball exposures. But bestballexplorer.com does a good job giving you a lot of data for free. Check it out in the chat if you want to see that. And if you're watching live and you can't check the chat, it's bestballexplorer.com. Spelled all the way you'd expect. Cup was going in the 4th at one point, I believe. But yeah, late 3rd for sure. I know I have one. Was it a big board or a BBM? I know I have at least one share of Cup in the 50s, which was a team I was like, what the fuck happened here? I think it was the big board. But Cup's been low for a while, and now because he hasn't died in the offseason. He's coming back up, and Puka obviously being banged up a little bit. Thoughts on a Debo Gibbs team at the turn? Feels like this year's CD. No, the CD amon-ra is Puka and Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are perfect game environment potentially. Two teams who should be playoff adjacent, if not playoff competitive, to get a spot. That's, to be clear, that's the CD amon-ra. Reaching for Jahmyr Gibbs and Debo, I don't think is it. No, it's fine. It's going to be a game with a decent total, but there's so many weapons in that game. It's not concentrated in the way where like CD and amon-ra both had the lion's share of that offense. Neither Debo nor Gibbs has the lion's share of their offense. They're fine, but that to me, like CD and amon-ra was one of the most obvious plays to make. And the only reason you maybe didn't make it was like it was too obvious. And it ended up being completely right. I would go amon-ra Debo over Gibbs and Debo, personally. Yeah. Again, amon-ra, we know, has that role. And granted, I am close to finishing Netflix's receiver. Hard to not leave that liking amon-ra more. Easy to leave it not liking Devontae Adams quite as much. But for amon-ra, and I like Adams as a person, but easy to go like, maybe things are going the wrong way for him. But man, amon-ra, this is the correct way to say it. I don't know. I'd rather have that combo. Or amon-ra and Ayuk. I would take that shot too. A lot of receiver run going here. So good thing we are ahead of the curve right now at receiver. So this guy, the weekly edge here, might get himself buried if he doesn't watch out. Let's see what these guys do with the two picks in front of us. I do like, I assume it's supposed to be CD and Smith, but I do like CD and Devontae as another one for week 17 as well. I would also take that one over Gibbs and Debo personally. All right, we're on the clock here. Back on the turn. Got Harrison. We've got London. Obviously, I think no matter what, Zay is going to be one of these picks. So let's just do that. No reason to obfuscate that too much. I don't take Josh Allen at the turn very often. I don't know that I want to do it here either, because I'd like to keep some optionality. Mari Cooper, Pickens, we know is going the wrong way. T. Higgins, I don't know that I want to go up and get. Kelsey, I at some point need to get exposure to, and I do think people will go up and try to get Harrison with McBride. I think we just saw Mr. Mister do that last draft. I'll take a share of Travis Kelsey here. Maybe should have gone Pickens just to get the KC Pittsburgh, I guess, for week 17. But I don't like Pickens when I know he's going in the 50s multiple times in rooms the last 2 days. So we're going to go Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Zay Flowers, tight end Travis Kelsey is a start here. So another elite tight end here, but a different one. Last time we got Laporta a little bit late. This one we're taking Kelsey pretty much right at ADP. And I'm not the biggest Kelsey guy. This is, in fact, as you might have seen on screen, my first share of Kelsey on the year. The reason why, incredibly distracted. One of the things that he was working on this offseason is coming out in October. Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? He's hosting game shows. He's also acting in a Ryan Murphy show. He's also touring the world with Taylor Swift. There's been a lot of distractions for a guy who also the team wants to ramp down his workload because he's old. So to me, Travis Kelsey, a guy that is not a priority, but at this point in the draft, a 4% cozy exposure blankie wouldn't be the worst thing. So that's why we're going to go Travis Kelsey here today. And Trey McBride goes at 42 to a guy who's burying himself at receiver. So we'll see how that works out for him. But a Harrison, Drake London, Zay, Kelsey start, because I've never taken Kelsey. It's unique for me. I don't think it's unique overall, though. You'll never stack Allen at the turn. I've done it before. I actually exclusively grab Allen at the turn when I somehow end up getting Wilson coming back to me, which happens a lot. So I've actually, most of my exposure with Garrett Wilson and with Breece Hall, I guess the little bit I have of both guys, a little bit more Garrett Wilson, they're all with Josh Allen. So I've stacked Bills from before. I mean, if you're getting Allen, you got to get 2 out of 3 of Keon Coleman. I mean, well, Kincaid as well. Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. You can get 2 of those. A player pulling away from another player doesn't make that exact player a good play. That might be a weird sentence to hear said out loud, But like Wiley, yes, he's going to get work. Noah Gray's going to get work. They're all going to get work, but they're not getting like the entire work. They're not getting Travis Kelce's role. They're getting fractional parts of it from time to time that might be good for 120-yard catch, one touchdown occasionally. So no, you don't like Wiley. You want to go to guys that have different ample workloads would be how I would view it. But yeah, like that's, I think, one of the ways that people view stuff. And I would say that's not the best way to view it. Even for DFS, like one guy hitting minor does not mean anything when one guy, just because one guy failed major, which is where I would view Kelce more so. Well, he can catch passes, but he can do both. Feels widening at CD and Adams, even though Adams is like 45. Yeah, look, I like Adams, honestly, as your second round guy. Like Adams I've had with Jefferson, I've had with Chase. Don't know if I've had him with amon-ra. I think I've had him with CD. He feels good as the round 2 pick for sure. But, you know, like you run some risk. Raiders are one team where I feel like you really struggle to find any positive camp reports, really, for anybody besides Dylan Labe. And Adams has not been in camp very much because his wife is about to give birth for child number 3. Yikes. So I have to assume they have some daycare. They have some, maybe have a nanny. Bowers being used as a fullback. Oh no, the Ben Sinnott treatment. I think it's a good thing when your guy gets moved around a lot, personally. Like we love Debo, right? Debo gets moved around a lot. I think those are the good things for tight ends. For guys like Ben Sinnott, for guys like Brock Bowers. Granted, who I do have bags for both of them in various ways. But, yeah, your tight end having flexibility, definitely a good thing. Like, get some on the field. Always a good thing. I figured for you it was sarcasm, but people will see that and go, oh, no, Brock Bowers is dead. Like they did for fucking Ben Sinnott. Without doing any research or thinking about it at all. Pick coming up, though. 2 on the turn. 0 RB start here. Hero RB start here. 0 RB here. So might want to keep taking receivers to stay ahead of the curve depending on what we have back. Man, Jaden Reed right at cost, huh? Certainly not the sexiest pick, but Jaden Reed is going to be one of these picks here. Let me think about the other one. Oh, man. Atlanta double? It's either Atlanta double with Pitts at the slightest of discounts and the 0 RB run with Mixon or Rachaad White. Kittle would be a different tight end play that makes no sense. I think if we're going to take a tight end, it would be Kyle Pitts. Or go up at receiver and get a bunch of guys that I already have enough exposure to right now. Man, this did not align that well for me. Worthy Kelce double. Ugh. Which doesn't do a lot for me. And we've got different buys. I'm going Kyle Pitts. Double elite tight end, and let's see what fucking happens. I've not done bully tight end in a while. The data really doesn't support it, I think, from the last year especially. But obviously, some of that's affected by Kelce being so bad. But we're going to go bully tight end here. Just coming up for Worthy, who feels like he's moving down a little bit. Coming up for Odunze, who we have no correlation to. Coming up for Deontay. Coming up for Watson. I guess I could have. But that's a pretty big reach. We're talking like a 10-pick reach for Watson. I'd rather get the Atlanta double. So we got Atlanta double here. We got Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Travis Kelce, and Kyle Pitts. And we're going to have to dig out and be clever here. You take Kelce there? Why? Why would your guys' logic sometimes baffles me. Why would I possibly have to take Mahomes? The Kelce hitting doesn't mean that Mahomes is going great. If anything, it might mean that the rest of the offense floundered and that Kelce just ended up being relied on the same way he's been relied on in the past, even when they want to ramp him down. Honestly, I don't have a lot of Mahomes, so I'm not, I'm going the opposite way of a lot of you guys out there. I don't think taking Kelce means you have to take Mahomes, though. I would actually strongly feel that way because everybody does it. Like, I don't know what that does for you. And they're probably doing it with another KC receiver on top. So I don't agree with that take at all. Set up Captain Kirk later or more Jaden. That's the plan. That's the plan. You can see where I'm going, Anomalies. That's the goal here. We're trying to, generally, like, Liam, of course, Liam Murphy won BBM a couple of years ago. I don't know if this is part of a strategy, but in chess, you're normally trying to set up moves a couple things ahead. For best ball, it's the same thing. You're trying to give yourself some optionality to do different things later on. And that's what we're trying to do. We've also got no real values back, so that doesn't help. Kelsey probably needs a strong tight end to pair with him in case he hits the age cliff. I agree. I do agree. He doesn't need to be Kyle Pitts strong, but it has to be somebody that's going to give you usable weeks. Kyle Pitts strong is functionally not a good use of draft capital. Like, I'm fully admitting that here. But I think we could salvage it. I don't know. BJH. I was able to sign up on Drafters, and then they realized, well, I don't want to go into it too much, but there are ways to get through it. But I appreciate you trying to use the code, I guess. Go out of state and come back, or maybe try a VPN. Now, people don't want to talk about that, but if you're having issues traveling, you could just use a VPN and don't tell anybody. It's normally still going to work out okay for you. I don't know if that's the case. Again, I'm not saying to do it, but VPNs exist for a reason for people out there that are traveling and such. I'm in PA and code work class. That's what I thought. Like, I think you can use the code and use it. But yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. You might be able to guess why. Special exemptions, perhaps. James Conner go to 75 here. Happy with where I got him last pick. Honestly, Connor should be at 75. At this point, we know what Benson is. He's contingent value, maybe with some pass game work. I appreciate you trying either way, BJH. Sorry, I keep calling you BG. BJH. I appreciate you giving it a shot either way. And if it doesn't work, I understand. I won't be mad at you. But if you can play on Drafters, play on Drafters. Again, pretty good shot at overlay on Drafters as well. But really, the pod thing, like, I know it's just sales pitch at this point to you guys, but the pod thing really, like, when you see everybody tilt about Underdog and you have some good entries on Drafters, you'll go like, thank God I put some entries in on Drafters, because, like, the pod luck shit, woof. The luck component is a part of the game, but it is not fun. Sometimes, if you're building good teams on Drafters, pure meritocracy for your team. Just call the FBI. No, please don't alert them to all of my misdeeds of playing best ball. Ooh, I think it'd be pretty high on the priority list. All right, we got some picks coming up here. Got to do some bailing out of ourselves as well. The two elite tight ends definitely put us behind the 8 ball in some positions. So we'll see what we get. A lot of RBs on the board, though. Oh, boy. Are there a lot of RBs on the board. I don't think Robert Griffin the Turd is going to swap me. I'm pretty confident. Out of all the people in the world that would try to do that, Robert Griffin the Turd is not high amongst them. He would swap me to have them come give me kisses and cookies. That's my boy. Let's see what we get coming up here. I see one pick I'd like to make, and we're going to get it. Aaron Jones being the first RB off the board for us makes sense. We got our bet on Green Bay. We can do that. Oh, this is tough. Normally, I think this is a spot where we would be trying to go with another RB. There are two that make sense here. One of whom I have to get my exposure up on a little bit with Jalen Warren. Going up in QB would also not be crazy because there is a QB that I like that we can go up and get. But I will go, I think I'm going to go Jalen Warren here. I think Jalen, I just want to keep myself flat on Najee and Jalen. To me, they are functionally the same bet. Jalen's got more juice, but last year was less efficient. Okay, Vicious is back. I'm not going to give you the full welcome to the family, but shout out Vicious here. He's been a member before. I know how to say his name. It's not Viciace. It's Vicious. He used to play poker. There we go. Shout out Vicious for coming back to the family here. Welcome back to the family, we'll say. Team so far is a 0-2-4-2 here. We have Aaron Jones and Jalen Warren as our RBs. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, and Jaden Reed as the wide receivers. And Jaden Reed coming down a little bit with his various injuries and I guess concerns about him not playing as many routes on that Packers family day last week. We got Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts as the wide receiver tight end room. So happy with the team. We're going to have to, there's one QB we really need to have in this build. Everything else is optional. Send some crumble from the thank you for the sentiment. Time traveler from 2 years ago could wake up and draft a perfectly coordinated Green Bay, Minnesota stack, except he accidentally took 2 QBs coming off ACL tears. Well, it's a downer way to look at it. But yeah, it's possible. Jaden Reed's good at football. He is. Doesn't mean he's not mispriced, but he's good at football. Jaden Reed in the 60s makes a lot more sense than Jaden Reed in the high 50s. That's what I would feel about that. But there's a lot of falls right now that I'm not on board with. Like Christian Kirk, I think should be more high 40s than late 40s. He's come back down to 50. I mean, that's a big one for me. McLaurin went 56 today. I don't know why he's coming down. The Washington Commanders have had one of the best camps around. Yeah, they had the bad practice day with the Jets like we talked about yesterday. That's the first time seeing an opposing team, and it's one of the best defenses in the league. So McLaurin shouldn't be coming down. There's a lot of things just kind of moving around because of the fact that people, they are bored of certain clicks. People may be overreacting to certain things. So it's up to you to parse out how you're going to handle that. If you feel like Jaden Reed is coming down for stupid reasons, then keep taking him in the mid-50s. McCaffrey gotten injured every year. He's been at number 1 ADP, not taking stock in it. Just curious. I mean, he was banged up more the last time he was the 101. When he was in Carolina, he was always banged up, but he was the 101 then and was fine, I think, for the most part, besides the last year. Cooks went at 90, huh? Did not notice that. But yeah, Brandon Cooks at 90. And Raise It takes Jordan Love, so we will not get Jordan Love all the way back. Oh, Raise It. Love seeing regulars get good value in the rooms, like CeeDee Lamb at 104. What a treat. Yeah, Vicious, if you're not in the Discord, check it out. If you are a paying member here, if you hit that join button down below for $4.99, get into the Squirt Squad VIP Discord. You also get 10 team reviews a month for me. If you DM me on Discord, and you also get my rankings and my news updates in a Google Doc, all the ones that I give you in the beginning of the videos. You have an entire, I think we're up to 10 pages now. Let's see. You got 8 pages of preseason update document for yourself if you join the channel down below. All right. 2 guys picking. We need RBs. QB would be okay as well, but I don't think there's going to be anything coming up right now that we need to get. Dak Prescott goes at 106. Actually kind of insane that Razik took Jordan Love over Dak at 100, but okay. What do we get here? Are they going to tempt me with a good time? Or is Alex Popey? Nope, they're going to tempt me with a good time. The Atlanta bet certainly makes the most sense with Kirk Cousins. But if you told me who's going to score more points on a weekly basis for 17 weeks or the entire season, it's unequivocally Jaden Daniels. So that's where we're going to go for this one. We are going to go for Jaden Daniels one more time at pick 108. It's too much. So we'll take the Jaden fall here. 3rd pick. Another receiver would make sense. Not the best time to take that receiver, though, necessarily. Another RB would also make sense, and we can get week 16 correlation. Oh, boy. I'll go Rashid Shaheed. getting a little bit late to take the 5th receiver. Had to get him, I think, in the top 110 at this point. So again, we're digging out of the flaws of going 2 elite tight ends, I would say. But we have Jaden Daniels, pretty big value here, about a 15-pick flip from where I have him ranked. Aaron Jones and Jalen Warren is the RBs. Wide receiver, we have Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed, and a tight end, Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. Kudos to you, Raise It. Again, it still is mostly me talking about my perspective in a draft room. I'm okay with you not being in the draft room. It's fundamentally how I feel about it. Congrats on your values, though. I would think in general, though, you get Lamb at 4. That's unique enough to maybe take Dak at the ADP. But follow your heart, buddy. Don't really don't need people to defend their decisions here when they negatively impact me, just for the record. Don't actually care about the other side of the equation. Jane's a perfect bailout for any fuck around build. Hey, I hope so. I hope so. Shout out Vicious here, gifting 5 memberships. That I appreciate. Being a paying member and not just telling me about the reasons you took a QB on relatively uncorrelated. Thank you, Vicious, for that one. And shout out Mr. Mister here. Thanks for all the content and advice, Spags. Appreciate it. Y'all need to subscribe. $4.99 is a bargain. Thank you for that. $4.99 is what helps us put on the show here. So I appreciate the sentiment. I don't know why you did fuck either, but better safe than sorry. YouTube does lately, guys. If I miss one of your comments, by the way, because I do reply to every comment, if I miss one of your comments, it's usually because YouTube is now blocking them for no particular reason. Love with C. Watt's fine. You got the value on CD Lamb. Just take Dak. Again, it just negatively impacted me, and I don't care about his explaining it. That's the end of the conversation. Once you get the concept of the fact that, like, this is just about me drafting, I don't care about other people's draft personas, then maybe you'll get what I'm going for here. But I hope the other guy who got Dak uses him well with his no correlation. Yeah, such great leverage. Such great leverage. Probably my fault that YouTube is stacking down on comment blocks or cracking down. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know why. Even the squirt emoji now, which that I get because that's kind of porny. But if you put the squirt emoji in chat, that doesn't show either for me. So I have to like dig out the comments regularly. So that's another thing here. Another part of the love, handcrafted, loving effort I give. Because I only have so much time in the day, and I do enough to stagger it. It's fine. But it's mostly one of my biggest bugaboos is just people coming into the room, doing things that upset my team, and then explaining to me why they did it. I just don't care and don't need it. That's basically it. But we've done pretty well. I feel like I've protected my portfolio a lot better this year than I did last year. So I'm actually happy with how it's looked. And that's also it too. The chat is a big part of the show. Even though I may hate them sometimes, chat is a big part of the show. That's true. They will let people, a lot of porn on YouTube. I now see on Reddit, not like a specific subreddit that's telling you about it. But I feel like a lot of the r/YouTube is people like complaining about, oh, there's this porny thing. Why is this porny thing on YouTube? And YouTube, I didn't realize lets you get away with so much. If I were a girl, boy, I'd be going tits out on YouTube left and right. Selling my OnlyFans. Do I typically have 2 RBs to my first 100 picks or so? It's not far off. It's not far off. You got to take Rico Dowdle with your Jordan Love bet. Fucking just really got my goat this morning. John Dotson at 127. He's coming up. Lingerie try-ons. All right. Maybe there's hope for me yet. See, I don't hate you chat rats. I think there's specific people I'm not quite as into. And I think we know who they are. It's the me people that just want to be on every stream draft and then also like quietly chip away at my EV in the teams or, loudly do it, which we've had an issue with before. But I know that's the push-pull of it all. I get it. Anyway, 2 picks coming up here. It's also a fucking slow-ass draft, which doesn't help my enthusiasm in draft number 2. Yeah, Adam, good chat rat. Historical anomalies, good chat rats. A lot of great regulars here. You know who you are. And a lot of me regulars. I don't think they know who they are. So you're getting this 1-2-5-2. As James pointed out, we'd probably like to get some RBs, but we're not panicked about it. You either go for quality or you go for quantity, and this will be a quantity draft. Who will we get out of Gus and Zeke? What a treat. The world's our oyster. Gus will be the first pick. Might just take them both. I think I'll get a share of Ty Chandler here. This tier feels pretty flat with Gus, Zeke, Marshawn Lloyd, Ty Chandler. We're covered at other positions. 2 RBs coming down here. I'll make them quick clicks. Gus, done. Ty Chandler, done. 1-4-5-2 with Jaden Daniels. Couldn't get Jahan Dotson back, which is shocking given that Dotson usually comes back safely to the mid-130s. But instead, we're just doing, he fucking got reached for by 10 picks. Unfucking believable. So Jahan Dotson doesn't come back. Jaden unstacked right now with Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, and Ty Chandler. 4 RBs now, so we're getting where we need to go. Need to get to 6 or 7 in this build. Probably 6. Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed, and a tight end, Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. There we go. No value coming back in this room. Players getting sniped with correlation to us. It's a fun team. Probably a Luke McCaffrey team. Diami Brown in the 18th round is my only way to differentiate at this point. Oh, man. Frustrating. Team still feels okay, though. But could have been a little bit better. Hey, BJH Blitz. Karma pays itself forward. There we go. He tries to use the Drafters promo code. He gets a free membership. That's how it goes. Make sure to sync your YouTube channel to your Discord in the settings on Discord if you want to get the Squirt Squad VIP channel. And feel free to hit me for your 10 team reviews a month if you want to do that on Discord as well. At Chris Spags, or you can find me in the chat and just DM me from there. 2 ways to get that happen. Most Jaden teams are going to feel pretty good. That's functionally how I feel about it. This could honestly be one to just take unstack Jaden, which I never do. But, we could make a bet that just nobody hits from Washington. I think wouldn't be crazy. Your wallet is squirting. Thank you, Robert Griffin III. I appreciate that. Wow, it's so easy. That's for some people, I guess. I appreciate Robert Griffin III and his generosity and for not calling the FBI on me. It's a big day for me. Dalton Schultz at 141, following his price move. Raise it just keeps getting the values in his spot. He's gotten a lot of values in that spot. Very happy for him. His tremendous contributions. Oh, man. Preseason, by the way, I have to talk a little bit about preseason football, just watching the games yesterday. I'm one of those people that just loves watching football. Even when the UFL was going, I was watching some of those games just to have football in my life. Last, I was watching receiver to get the taste out of my mouth from the bad preseason football. So I'm somebody that likes to, you might gather from me doing a year-round show where I talk about football, give my takes every day. I like just have football on. Those preseason games were the least entertaining things that have occurred, which is why I get the Joe Milton thing. And I would say that for Joe Milton, so again, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the stream. I just want to talk briefly about the numbers a little bit. They were brutal, which is why the Milton thing was so fun. So Milton in college last year, just for fun, people talk shit about how he killed Tennessee. He did kill Tennessee in a good amount of games last year. He's all arm, not a lot of fun. Or not, not a lot of fun when you're rooting for him, I guess, as a team and your team has to win. But Milton, though, in college last year, 65% completion rate by comparison. Drake May, 63%. Catchable ball rate for Joe Milton, 80% catchable ball rate. For comparison, Drake May, 76.5%. On target rate for Joe Milton, 68.4%. On target rate for Drake May, 61%. So pretty big discrepancy for Joe Milton and Drake May and some of the core stats that just relate to a guy, completing throws, making stuff happen. Now, I have to point out, Drake May better in the EPA metrics, a 0.1 flat EPA for Drake May compared to a 0.04 for Joe Milton. And Milton playing, again, at Tennessee, he should play well there. Tennessee does a lot of bullshit to get guys open, guys moving around, cheat motion stuff that the NFL talked about a little bit in the offseason. Those kind of things Tennessee does a lot and does fairly well. So Milton not being a plus EPA receiver, like it's not a great sign for him. Under pressure, Joe Milton a negative 0.5 EPA, Drake May a negative 0.4. So basically the same there. Downfield, Joe Milton is much worse. 0.24 EPA downfield for Joe Milton compared to a 0.7 EPA for Drake May. My overall point, though, is that you look at Joe Milton's numbers. He ran 5 times a game. Drake May ran 6.5. They're very similar players in a way where, Joe Milton played lesser competition. If Joe Milton looks good and Drake May doesn't, it's not good for Drake May, which has been the thing I've said for Drake May for a while now. It's just that he's not ready. Like, if you're not completing accurate throws, you're not going to move your way up that depth chart. And, we didn't see enough yesterday, I think deliberately, because they're trying to protect the guy a little bit from that, knowing how the Boston media is. But, really think functionally, like, Drake May is not as good as everybody wants to believe. I guess is the best way to put that. All right, so gotten boxed out on a lot of stuff here. Correlation, going to be evasive here for taking the Washington side versus Atlanta. 1-4-5-2. Tight end is backing up a little bit, but that's not a spot we need to go. This is a tough one. All right, we're going to try. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go Matthew Stafford for one of these picks. I think we're going to get... I think we can figure out receiver late, potentially. Or RB late, rather, potentially. Receiver, though, I'm not going to be able to get a correlation with Stafford coming up. So I am going to go up and get DeMarcus Robinson here. Don't think he's going to come back to 170. I want to have a game stack here for week 17 with Arizona. Obviously, we didn't get Puka. Cooper Kupp didn't come back. Really, nothing has come back to this spot. So I'm at a point where I'm just going to take some different plays and reach up a little bit. So we get Stafford as QB2 here. Stack him up with DeMarcus Robinson. Bring back a Marvin Harrison. Just a part of the board where there's nothing good coming back to me at all, and it's getting a little bit frustrating. So we have Jaden Daniels and Matthew Stafford, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, Ty Chandler at RB, a wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed, and DeMarcus Robinson. And a tight end, we have Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. So we have Washington, Atlanta, theoretically. We have Rams and Arizona, theoretically. We have the double stacks here. We have stacks. We have correlation for week 17. We're going to make it work. But it's been a frustrating room. Been a frustrating room from really every part of the way. Milton is like really bad, though. Just saying May's underlying stuff is much better. It's not, though. If you complete passes at a lower rate, like ultimately that's the main thing. If you don't complete passes well, you're not going to do well in football. That's a hot take for sure. The hope is it'll improve. But I said from day one, back in January, I said Drake May's numbers looked a lot like AR's. He's a raw passer. Like, he's not ready to come in. And yet you had people who I think are smart putting out whole videos about how Drake May is like so ready to go day one. He has traits that are good. The two traits, he runs the ball with some efficiency and some volume, though he did cut his rushing total down from the year before last. Again, making a business decision perhaps for himself. But like, May is just like, he's not ready for prime time. And that's a team that's not going to play a guy who's not ready for prime time. They're not smart enough to do it. And also they think like they can be 500 with Jacoby Brissett. So I really think the Drake May thing, I mean, look, it's still early. Could still go the other way, but accuracy is always going to fucking kill you. Accuracy and decision-making are the most important traits for a QB. I mean, that's why guys like Aiden O'Connell and Brock Purdy were able to get starts, is because they're just accurate enough. Like, they don't fuck up. Like Purdy in particular, obviously much more so than Aiden O'Connell. But like, those are skills that matter, and you have to really be good at everything else. And Drake May wasn't a great EPA player. He wasn't creating a ton of value. It was a new offense for him, but it was still like a high-octane offense. He wasn't great in it. Yeah, Crane has been high on May. I know he's talked about it a little bit. Like, I think they're adjusting to the fact, but there are sharp people that were saying take May in every draft, and I just never agreed with that, and I feel a lot better about that take the more that we go on. You said Milton's really bad, but yeah, his stuff isn't much better than Milton. But he's got, again, he's got an archetype. He's got the draft capital. Like Drake May's going to get there. I just don't think it's going to be this year. And if it is this year, it's going to be probably after the Week 14 bye, if I had to guess. Processing speed is also key. Look, the biggest things really fundamentally for QB, at least in terms of the things that I look at data-wise that are, I would say not no-fly zone, but are cause for concerns for me. Being really bad under pressure is one of them. But being a plus EPA thrower on every level is a good thing. Drake May, technically a plus EPA thrower at every level. Wasn't great. 0.06 EPA close to the line of scrimmage, which is 1/5 of Jaden Daniels last year, 1/4 of Caleb Williams, 1/4 of JJ McCarthy, 1/5 of Bo Nix. So you're talking about 1/5 of the EPA. That's not great. Throws 10 to 20 air yards last year. Drake May a 0.26 EPA, compared to 0.5 for Caleb, 0.7 for Jaden, 0.9 for McCarthy, 0.9 for Bo Nix. And Joe Milton, 0.04. So that's where we start to see it get a little bit worse for Milton. That's why he's not a top prospect. Throws a 20-plus air yards. Caleb Williams, 1.3 EPA per throw, so creating 1.3 points of value every time he threw the ball downfield. Drake May, a 0.7 EPA. Jaden Daniels, 1.6. McCarthy, 0.6. Bo Nix, 0.7. So, he's basically the same player as Bo Nix and McCarthy in a lot of different facets. He just runs the ball a little bit more. But he's a tier behind, guys like Stroud, guys like Jaden, guys like Caleb. And that's where I think things go askew a little bit. All right, we got to make it up a little bit at RB here. I think we see an obvious bailout for me at RB. I think there'll be one more coming up later. Audric Estime is the pick for this one. And I think I just have to keep fucking stacking up Luke McCaffrey. I really wish there were another option here to take besides Luke McCaffrey as a Jaden bailout, but there isn't. And we got boxed and everything else. So Luke McCaffrey is the pick yet again. Going to end up 33% Luke McCaffrey just out of the sheer force of will of having Jaden Daniels. How does EPA take into account offensive weapons, or does it? So basically EPA is just like the situation itself. So if you're in a 1st and 10 on the 50, you create a new set of downs that's worth hypothetically, 0.7 of a point, based on historically when teams are at the 40 with a first down, they tend to score, let's say 3.8 points. I'm making this up entirely. So the entire situation is rolled in, but overall it's what you're trying to isolate for the most part is who's a good part of it, who's creating that value, who's schematic for it. Drake May's value overall came from just throwing a lot of deep shots. Last year, Tez Walker had one of the highest air yards per game and running a little bit. He wasn't creating a lot of efficiency underneath, wasn't creating a lot of efficiency with short throws. So he's not like a well-rounded QB. He's just more of like a playground QB, which works. Like Josh Allen was also a playground QB, but that requires some ramp up. That requires a good offensive scheme, and that requires time. And that's why, like Drake May, if he started week 1, he'd probably take his lumps, but the traits of getting the ball downfield and running with some efficiency would be good for him. It would carry him through. But because he can't get on the field because he's not accurate, you're not going to see his good fantasy traits come to life because he can't do the stuff that gets you on the field, which again is being accurate and having EPA metrics that back it out. So the thing that people don't get out of EPA a lot is and I think people use it a lot to cover for guys they don't like. The best example I can give you a couple of years ago is when Deontay Johnson was dead last in a bunch of different traits. Some of the advanced analytics like DVOA, EPA, he was also awful. Some of the other Football Outsiders metrics when I was still working there, and it still existed, he was low in a lot of stuff. He was a negative EPA receiver per target, whereas George Pickens was like a 0.35 EPA per target guy and the same offense. So doesn't mean that Deontay Johnson is a worse player, but it means he has a worse situation. He's not scoring as much. He's not creating as much value. He's not moving the sticks. He's not actually scoring points. So you combine that all together, and that's how you get one guy having a low EPA and one guy having a high EPA, despite having the exact same QB who didn't have a good EPA metric. I'm going to pull up this chat and fucking slap. Pickens was elite 2 years ago. But they did have the same EPA last year. He came through last year. But the bad news for you is that in an Arthur Smith offense last year, for our guy Adam, who loves Arthur Smith, let's see. Where's my... Oh, you know what? I don't have... where's my Excel? Hold on. I'm actually not sure if I have my NFL stats Excel up, so I have to go through effort here to yell at Adam. Pulling up my NFL stats sheet. Had to update my computer recently. All right, here we go. So last year, in an Arthur Smith offense, which again, we're saying the offense, a big part of what we're doing overall. Let's find this here. Advanced search, looking values. Drake London last year had a .08 EPA as the wide receiver one in an Arthur Smith offense. He was also targeted 24% of the time he was running a route. I would say a lot of those things are going to come down more to the offense than the player. Drake London in the George Pickens role, let's say. Not efficient, not targeted well enough. And that same offense, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had a .2 EPA. It was targeted 21% of the time he ran a route. Also a little bit low. So no, I would say Pickens is probably not elite because the offensive scheme matters quite a bit. He's likely to end up with his worst EPA year of his career this year, in fact. And that's not even assuming that they get Brandon Ayuk. So there you go. But Pickens, 2 years ago, last year, whew, that guy in a Matt Canada offense, that's something you could trust. An Arthur Smith offense. Oh boy. All right, this entire time I've been thinking that we need an RB6. Tank Bigsby, a guy who's gotten decent enough signal, would be an okay one. Dylan Labe, I would like to get a little bit more to. Think Tank has a better role than Labe, which is tough. Really tough one for me. I think Tank's just a better play overall. I'm going to go Tank over Labe for this one. And then my last pick here to close out, I would say a relative nightmare draft in round 2 here. I think we paid the price for elite tight end. Sinnott here for tight end 3 with these tight ends makes absolutely no sense. We got to bet on Atlanta enough that we don't need Ray McLeod. Stafford, I think this might be a Jordan Whittington team. Jordan Whittington, our man in the 18th round, the Deebo Samuel of the Rams offense, only when I have to draft him, it's Jordan Whittington. So this team's a 2.682, not one of my favorites, I will admit that. We got Jaden Daniels and Matthew Stafford at QB, both at decent enough values. Aaron Jones and Jalen Warren, along with Gus Edwards, Ty Chandler, Audric Estime, and Tank Bigsby. RB room looks better than I felt like it was going to look when I was taking Gus Edwards and Ty Chandler. I think we stuck it pretty well with guys that I like in Estime and Bigsby late. Got Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed, Demarcus Robinson, Luke McCaffrey, and Jordan Whittington here. So we cobbled together another stack when Raise It, the non-paying member, who's in a lot of drafts, took Jordan Love for no particular reason. So that fucked up my plan overall for the game and the end game of this team. And instead, we had to go backdoor some Rams, Arizona stuff, along with taking Jaden and the Washington, Atlanta stuff. And we had Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts here are the players at tight end. Elite capital at tight end also ruined my flexibility a little bit. That's what that is. Exposure chat. Let's do it. Not going to include this team because I'm not going to wait for it to finish. So my exposures just in BBM right now, 93 entries in. Let's filter it down. We will look at the other tools in a moment as well. The Best Ball Overlay tool and the Best Ball Explorer tool if you want to see exactly where I'm at with everything. Top exposed guy right now, still Marshawn Lloyd at 39%. You saw it today. I am not backing down. You can't have that much juice and break as many big plays as he did without things going your way somewhat during the season. Maybe we're running a little bit of risk for him being there week 1, being the guy who's the RB2 and getting regular work with him fumbling a little bit or having more so drops in camp. For Marshawn Lloyd, though, I don't back down on this one. This is one where he is the guy unless he gets hurt. Jaden Daniels, we'll see what he can do in a real game situation. He's at 36% for me. Number 2 overall. Terry McLaurin down to 30%. So we are getting these guys down a little bit more for the most part. And we still have another 60 entries if I'm going to max it out to get there. So we're okay. Ben Sinnott, 27%. Brian Robinson, 26%. It's a Washington bet. No surprises there. Looking at your exposures, what players we'd like to have more of? It's hard to say that right now. Honestly, not really anybody comes to mind right away. But the guys who I'm low on that I'm not deliberately low on, like Kamara, I would like to get more of. Mostly guys who are in pockets where I think the projection is flat and I don't have enough exposure there because I take one other guy. So for Kamara, it's like there's a Montgomery pulling. There's really nobody in the Marshawn Lloyd range I want to take more of. But those are generally the guys I would say without pointing to a specific. Jaden Daniels, Derek Carr, Will Levis, Bo Nix, Bryce Young, and Daniel Jones here. So we got a big tie for my 5th overall QB. We got Bryce, Daniel Jones, Kyler, AR. I'm down all these guys because I can't get Kyler at a normal ADP. AR lately, I'm a little bit blind to him, especially when I don't have Malik Neighbors. These guys aren't aligning as well for me, but I would like to be double the field-ish on AR and Kyler. I just don't think I'm going to reach to go get him. So we're probably stuck there with Jaden being the only big QB bet I really have. Marshawn Lloyd, Brian Robinson is number 2, David Montgomery number 3, Jerome Ford, and Bucky Irving at number 5. Those are the top 5 for you. Chase Brown's come down a little bit because I have a lot of him, and his ADP is coming up. So happy to buy him when the dip makes sense. For right now, though, him going in the 90s a lot in rooms, I'm not going to be there very much. Wide receiver, the highest exposed is Terry McLaurin at 30%. Number 2 is Luke McCaffrey, 25. Number 3, Troy Franklin, coming down on him a little bit, though I will dollar cost him down because I think the talent is still there. And he's one guy where, as much as social media wants to give him FUD, the beat reporters constantly say that Troy Franklin's going to be in the mix, constantly say he's going to be on the active roster. He makes big plays, sometimes drops them. I don't know what to tell you, but I think Franklin in the 18th round is a pretty nice click. John Dotson, part of that Washington bet, and Keenan Allen here, tied with Christian Kirk here. As part of my 0 RB bailout guys that I put in for wide receiver 5. And everybody else here, again, we're double the field on a lot of the early receivers, pretty much exactly where you would think I would be, based on what you see me do on stream regularly. Tight end, Ben Sinnott, highest exposed. It is the one that gives me the most agita, if I were to think about it right now. But I'm at 27% of him. Obviously, he's been cheap for the most part throughout. I should dollar cost him down a little bit, but I'm more focused on getting him closer to 16 to 25%. So I'm a little bit Sinnott blind right now. Dalton Schultz, 19%. Trey McBride, 17%. Juwan Johnson and Brock Bowers tied for 15. So I've come up on those guys. Now we have Jonnu Smith here, rounding out the true top 5. Guy that's coming down in ADP because he's behind Durham Smythe on the depth chart right now. He's fine to me if you're making a bet on Cleveland or Miami. Best Ball overlay tool. Look at the numbers here. Now we'll look at Best Ball Explorer as well. I fucking loaded all this in already, but I have to restart and reload it. All right. Share this tab. My highest exposed guys relative to their current CLV. So we've gained 11 spots in the last 7 days of Chase Brown, I guess. This is just his overall ADP. Never mind. This isn't my ADP for him. But some of the things you can see here on the Best Ball tool, including my Hero RB builds. Here are all of them. Some good CLV on this one from I don't know when. Jaden, Levis, Daniel Jones. You can see the team here. Some of the stuff you're looking at Best Ball overlay. Playoff stacks. Take a look at those. Still an incredible amount of Atlanta, Washington, Week 17 playoff stacks. My position by round is a new thing you can see here. Here's what I usually take in round 1. A lot of receiver. I take receiver 83% of the time in round 1. RB 17% of the time. Tight end never, which isn't a shocker. And then QB never. Another fun tool here. Targeted teams. I don't think I'm seeing everybody here. This is obviously Washington, though. Washington is targeted 65% of the time in my teams. That is the bet. Best Ball Explorer tool. This will be our last look at my exposures because they have some fun stuff here. Let me go to drafts. My draft positions. So far, and this is not including the 2 drafts we did today, I'm actually lower on 11 and 12s. Got one today, so that's going to level out here. Very low on 8s. So I do expect to see more 8s for me down the home stretch. More A.J. Brown, more Breece Hall potentially, which is good if I want to get exposure there. This part's a big one, I would say, for you guys out there. If you are trying to level out your exposures and you use the Best Ball Explorer tool here, I'll link it once again in the chat because I haven't done that in a moment. This is a free tool. You just have to get your exposures from Underdog and then come over here and look at it. This is where you want to be mindful of your exposures, where for me, I have no reason to be low on A.J. Brown besides the fact I'm not getting the 8th spot very often. So I'm going to want to prioritize getting A.J. Brown, especially if I get to my last 30 entries, 25 entries, and I'm low on A.J. Brown still. If I'm not getting 8th picks, I have to go out of my way to get A.J. Brown more. For all these other ones, though, we're pretty evenly distributed from 1 to 7. And then, 8 and 9, just low on. This does playoff stacks. It links with drafters. I don't think it links with DraftKings. But they do have drafters for the Best Ball Explorer tool. On my playoff stacks, again, same thing you could see as on the other Best Ball overlay tool. All those. Drafted teams. I don't know if this is going to do anything for you guys. I think I could see the CLV. Yeah, we could see what's my biggest ADP gaining team. Oh, here's my layer. Let's look at my worst ADP gaining team first. All right. This one has lost 128 points of value. 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 And it has Kyler and Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I took pretty lofty there. He goes lower in ADP. I don't think it shares info, but whoever has the data has the access to the data. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, Dylan Labe, lots of fallers there. Harrison a faller, London a faller, Trey Franklin a big faller, Mims a big This team is loaded with negative CLV. It's not a dead team, though. Like, everything here is still valid. We got positive CLV on DeMarcus Robinson. So your bad CLV team still might not be functionally bad, even though they do look pretty bad. But your higher CLV teams are certainly going to feel better, and that would be one like this for me. All right, so this one, we got 100 picks of ADP value. Done back at end of May. We got Kyler and Caleb. Good value on Derrick Henry. DeAndre Swift lost a little bit. Really good value on Connor. Good value on Corum. Really good value on Dobbins. Good value on A.J. Brown, Harrison, Keenan Allen, Xavier Worthy, a little bit lost. Palmer, huge value. Jalen Polk, huge value. Lost Roman Wilson, of course, the one fucking time I take Roman Wilson, he cost me CLV. And DeMarcus Robinson here. So this would be a good CLV team. People have better ones than me. I'm not really a CLV slut. But it's fun to see relative teams that you drafted earlier on. And just out of curiosity, you could sort by date as well. So my earliest teams in terms of CLV. So some negative CLV, couple good ones here. Let's see what this one with 70 is. We got Jaden Levis, Daniel Jones with Kyron, James Conner, Jalen Warren. Wow. This fucking zero. I tell you what, guys, if you followed my zero RB shit from the moment BM launched, I do think you're going to get a lot of drafts like this that have good CLV early on. Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, McLaurin, Ridley, we've gained a lot on. Hopkins, we're losing some on. McCaffrey, losing a good amount on. And Sidney Okonkwo. The tight end room leaves something to be desired, but it's a really cool tool. So the big plugs, again, the paid tool is the Best Ball Overlay tool. That's the one where you get data on the screen and all of that. Check that out at bestballoverlay.com. As you saw as well, they have some interesting back-end tools, allow you to review your exposures. I do think, though, with Best Ball Explorer being free, I would use Best Ball Overlay for your main on-screen tool. And if you want to look at some of the back-end data they have a few interesting data points. Best Ball Explorer tool, I would say, for free is a really good tool. I have to be honest about it. Have to give them the plug as well. But this one supports the show and supports our guy, The Pound. So check it out, bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. Get $10 off. That basically means you're getting 1 month of all their draft tools for just $20. The final end, the home stretch of draft season. So check it out at bestballoverlay.com. Of course, deposit on Underdog if you haven't yet. Promo code SPLASH. Splash gets you $250 in bonus cash on there. Great way to do that. On Drafters as well, if you have deposit Underdog, support the show and your own bankroll by getting a $100 deposit match on Drafters. Again, $15 entry on the Drafters Million, $500K to first place. They also have a $2 tournament going. They have a high roller one if you want to go that way as well. Drafters, I think, a nice site to play on as a change of pace. And again, they give you a lot of bonuses on there as well. And support the show and a decent shot of overlay in the Drafters Million. So all of that combined, go to drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH. Probably, if you want sports betting data, go to probably.com. Top of market data that will give you the best calculations for expected value that you will ever find. You can get it at probably.com, PROBLY.com, PROBLY.com. If you're playing any DFS out there, including some of the preseason stuff, MLB as well, use promo code SPLASH on Stochastic and get 15% off. Don't believe they have promos going right now, so if you want to get in there, go do it for yourself at Stochastic. Link in the description as well. And reading of names coming up here. Thank you all the fine folks who supported the show. I need to drink water for this one. You too can support the show for $4.99, and that legitimately supports the show. We give up half of that to YouTube right away, but everything else just goes to me being able to do this. And frankly, I'm still fucking negative money because of having to gamble on stream every day. So your support does go a long way here. And of course, you get 10 team reviews a month from me, my rankings, which are exportable to Underdog, and have 300 player blurbs in them now for all the draftable players, basically. And you also get my news updates, a VIP Discord. What more can you want? I don't know. We got Robert Griffin the Turd, God. Historical Anomalies, Matthew Emerson, Tyler, CLN, Mathology, Rupesh, Willis, Ivan, Tony Mark, a.k.a. Io, Brandon Wagner, Consigliere, Aaron D, Nez, Jake Twitchell, fucking Alpha, Mr. I Am the KY, Buffalo War Pigs, Kevin Castro, Lateralis, Lunchbowl Connoisseur, Short Gamer, Carlos Manzo, Chunk the Deuce, Gabe Davis, Thomas Schultz, Laces Out, Bullock, Spurious News, Jeff F, Craig B, Hoosier Devo, Jason F, Michael Thomas, Wounded Geese, Steel City Blue, W for Omega, C40, Artillery Frost, Benny, D. Owens, Meatwad, Kyle Zoo, Feelin' Moosey, Nick Stevens, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Dylan Holzer, T-Wis, Old Adam, Dylan Quartz, Rough Buff Fire, Joe the Show, Broncos 05, Best Ball Brian, M. Ryan Dolan, SCL Bree, Bob Hale, Independent Thinker, JPK Tampa, Paul B, Duke Dean, New Adam, The Best Adam, Adam Rockoff, Anthony Revla, Tim Souders, Terrence, Curtis Broom, Chris Pointer, Slayton, Matthew Priest, Dylan, ATX Bearcat, Dave Gladstone, Diego, Tyler W, and Matt K, and all the new members as well. You guys have helped me put on the show this week, and I appreciate you for it. And you guys, if you come into a draft room and get CeeDee Lamb at the 104 and then take Jordan Love over Dak Prescott, I won't get annoyed with you. That's the promise. So please join the channel down below, especially if you are somebody that loves to see your name on stream drafts. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And hey, gamble responsibly. Back tomorrow, 11 a.m. with drafters. I'll see you guys then tomorrow and Sunday at 11 a.m. Enjoy your days, guys. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye. Whatever. See ya.